be saying something important. It has to mean something. You know, it has to mean something to a larger society.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
right. To us, black excellence,
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we not even gonna even go there with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
JayZ just broke down in public, tears, shaking, crying out for help. And no, this wasn't in a movie. This happened in real life, and the entire industry is shook. The man who built an empire from Marcy Projects to the billionaire boardroom just cracked, and now the secrets are spilling faster than champagne at a Rock Nation brunch.
From your point of view, because I know you heard the statement that, Jay lawyer came out with about how he wasn't really friends with Diddy. From your point of view, was they really friends or not?
How close was Diddy and Jay-Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, that. So I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Yeah, him and Pac is 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was gonna knock out. And then we was at the, it was me, him, Ashley Kushner, Puff and them. We was all at the Nets game together, and he didn't even remember none of it. And I don't expect him to remember, but I remember. You understand? And he told Puff, he said, yo, Puff, yo, I heard about that Gene right there. That Gene got a mean left. Oh, he said, that Gene a knock a nigga out. Then he gonna come up to me and say, man, you look like, man, you a turn nigga ass up. And I said to myself, I said, yo, no Diddy. Pause, whatever. I said, he don't even remember. I was about to knock him the F out. He didn't even remember. He said to me to Laura. That's how these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you gotta understand, like, now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating a in his early 30s. You're not gonna go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you gotta understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. You know, if they 17, 18, 16 years old, and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mama and them need to check them. They daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s, and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, that's a problem, that's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim and now he claiming her. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you can talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertainers.
Jay-Z has always been the blueprint, calm, untouchable, calculated, but when he was recently spotted crying in public, visibly shaken, it was like watching Superman without his cape out at a private event. Witnesses say Hav had tears rolling down his face. Some say he cried out for help, real, raw emotion from a man who rarely lets anything show. Fans were stunned. The media went into full frenzy mode, and the speculation off the charts.
He was close, even though Jay lawyer came out and said it not.
Because Jay-Z and Puff was given an assignment. And that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna be like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother. Is that New York rappers was getting 800 to 1.2 million, or some larger than that, and sign with labels back then. And they was getting a lot of money to make albums and records. When they had guys down south that these labels was paying $250,000, $300,000 on record deals, and these guys was bringing back platinum albums and everything like that. So what they had to do was, they had to keep New York rappers down. That's one reason, other than the Irv Gotti shit that 50 was going through and the poison they was putting in about 50, he had to go elsewhere to California or with Jay and not with Dre and Eminem to get a deal. They did not want East Coast rappers to get big. They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that. That's why when I heard your story, because I knew this for a long time, but when I heard Dame Dash that Jay wouldn't sign off on nothing, Jay wouldn't do this and Jay would that, because he couldn't let a Cameron blow up. He couldn't let an East Coast rapper like Beanie Siegel blow up. Because him and Diddy was giving that deal, we gotta keep these East Coast rappers down. Because down south rappers, Cash Money, No Limit, Ludacris and them, they was taking little money and bringing back more money and making more money for them. So the record labels, I wouldn't say they was gonna lose off the East Coast rappers, but they couldn't give him peanuts. They couldn't give him $200,000 to do an album, $300,000 to do an album. They couldn't give him that type of money. They had people like Graf getting $800,000 doing an album and never came out. So they was placed to destroy the East Coast rap. And then along came a somebody. They was about to bring East Coast rap back. And there's nothing they could do about it. And this kid was finna put East Coast on the map, just like Big did. And this is after 50. And that was Papa Smoke. Pop Smoke. That was Pop Smoke. Let me just tell you something, man. 2 weeks before Pop Smoke died, K Slade, who heard this shit from the industry, that know shit that happens in the industry, set Pop Smoke and his people down and gave them a jewel. He said, y'all gonna have to protect him with his life, with y'all life. Y'all gonna have to protect him with y'all life. Cause he know Pop Smoke was about to bring rap back to the East Coast. And what happened? Pop Smoke ended up dead. Now I ain't trying to say that's some kind of conspiracy, and maybe some other shit was going on, or this, that, and the third. But brother, he had that conversation with K Slade 2 weeks before he was murdered. They didn't want rap to be back on the East Coast.
Behind that billionaire bravado is pressure most of us can't imagine. Between music, Tidal, Rock Nation Sports, and his high-profile marriage to Beyoncé's juggling an empire. And let's not forget the trauma of where he came from. Brooklyn's Marcy projects the kind of survival that leaves permanent scars. Insiders say this wasn't just a bad day. It was the culmination of years of stress, secrets, and maybe guilt. Some whisper it's about personal loss. Others say it's the weight of the empire collapsing from the inside.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. It was a question that gripped the world. Who killed Tupac Shakur? The 25-year-old rapper, considered one of the most influential artists of all time, was gunned down in Las Vegas in 1996. Well, on Friday, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was indicted on one count of murder with a deadly weapon in relation to the killing. DJ Vlad, a major commentator in the hip-hop industry for years, admitted that police in Las Vegas asked him to help their investigation after he interviewed Keefe D for his own show. And DJ Vlad joins me now.
Tupac pulled out a gun.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see a gun?
Oh shit, once you got the region, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car started shooting at Tupac and Suge.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over and the window, rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would drove on my side, I would have popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
Well, DJ Vlad joins me now. DJ Vlad, thank you very much indeed for joining the show.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
I know you've studied this case for so long, and these interviews that you did with Keefe D, they've turned out to be extremely significant in this investigation, leading, in fact, to him being arrested and indicted. When you heard that news, how did you feel?
Well, I mean, the goal wasn't really to get anyone arrested. It was really just to get the truth of the matter. The story about Orlando Anderson killing Tupac, I've known since around 2007. So it was essentially the worst kept secret in LA. Everyone knew about it, but there were no arrests, there was no convictions, there was no anything, there was no actual proofs. There was a lot of conspiracy theories around it. So around 2008, when I first heard the Keefe confession tapes that Greg Kading got, then I found out there was a book that was about to come out. I got a hold of Keefe D and his co-writer, and we scheduled an interview, and we just went from there.
I mean, he appears to have incriminated himself in this interview, certainly the last one. Did you believe he was doing that as you interviewed him?
Well, I think that he believed that he had a level of immunity when he did the proffer agreement. I think at the time he was saying that he had cancer, so maybe he didn't think he had much time to live. So he was just kind of letting it loose at that point. But you know, it was a little bit crazy that he actually sat down and we did everything. And when I asked him about it, sometimes he would try to dodge certain questions, but ultimately I used the book as a blueprint. So whenever a question wouldn't get answered, I said, well, the book said X, Y, and Z. And then at that point, he kind of went along with what was written in the book.
It's been reported that you have resisted efforts by the police to hand over all the unedited tapes. Is that true? And if so, why?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, ultimately, people that we have on our show, we don't turn around and cooperate against those same people with the police. For me, just in terms of business-wise and my ethics and so forth, I just feel there's something wrong. So when Las Vegas police reached out to me multiple times, I just never responded. I think what they did ultimately want was the raw footage. That was an email that they sent after a couple of phone calls went unanswered. Ultimately, if you know the style of our footage, everything that we film gets released. So I think there's a little bit of a barking up the wrong tree situation, but maybe they thought there was a gotcha on there in the footage that was unreleased, which I'm not aware of it since everything did get released. But ultimately, we don't cooperate with the police. And you know, we've had situations where police have tried to get footage from us and we've had our lawyers step in and actually block it.
Are you concerned? I mean, I've done many interviews, including crime interviews actually over the years. And there's always a certain element of concern as an interviewer when you stray into that kind of territory about repercussions from people involved. I mean, given there's now been an indictment here, are you worried about repercussions against you?
I don't worry about doing my job. I've been doing Vlad TV for 15 years now. We've covered a lot of very serious issues. We've interviewed like mass murderers like Sammy the Bull and so forth. So I don't really worry when it comes to doing my job. My job supersedes any level of concern or fear or anything else like that. And ultimately, you know, if I ever feel there is a situation where there might be some danger, I always move with armed security.
You famously a very big fan of Tupac, as of course millions of people were, and it remained one of the great mysteries about this. If it turns out that your interviews have helped lead to solving this mystery, will you feel a sense of closure for Tupac and his family?
Well, I mean, for me, the closure came 4 years ago when I did the interview. There was a lot of conspiracy theories when it comes to Tupac. There was that, you know, Suge had him set up. There was the government did it. There was the first responder had a body that he switched. The Tupac is living in Cuba somewhere. There's a lot of crazy theories out there. So for me, when I did the interview 4 years ago and we went through the entire story, you know, really Keefe D's entire life story, but really leading up to what happened from Orlando getting jumped at the mall to, you know, the next few steps to them going to Vegas to what happened, you know, during the fight to what happened afterwards. That essentially told the story. You know, I've been saying for years that I solved the Tupac murder. Right. You know, when it comes to the family, I've had various family members reach out through people to say they're very happy about it. But the thing about it is, you know, I know people that were very close to Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, and they all told me that while she was alive, she did not care about the police solving this case. The Shakur family had a very, you know, bad relationship with the police.
Vlad, we've run out of time.
Afeni was even pregnant.
I'm really sorry. I'd love to have done more of this. Thank you very much for a great interview. I've been following you for a long time. And you're great at what you do, and I congratulate you on this. Thank you very much.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Jay-Z's breakdown comes right as the heat is turning up on Diddy federal raids, sex trafficking investigations, and decades of dark allegations resurfacing. There are rumors Jay is trying to quietly distance himself, or maybe he knows more than he's letting on. People close to the scene have even dropped names Big L, Kathy White, old secrets tied to Aaliyah, and strange deaths with no clear answers. And if you think that's all, Killer Mike's Grammy night arrest? Word is Jay-Z allegedly had a hand in that too. Petty or calculated survival?
How hard is it to get an honest, vulnerable conversation going in the Black community about mental health and mental illness.
If it's a private conversation, it's not hard at all. You know, brothers and sisters are always, you know, spilling their hearts out to each other. You know, publicly, it might be a little bit tougher. You know, just simply because when we wake up in the morning, we got to worry about just surviving. You know, as human beings in this country. You know, we had a term called hardcore, where, you know, you had to walk around, keep your chest out, you know, keep your chin up. You know, you couldn't portray any type of vulnerabilities, any type of weakness, because if you did, you know, you might be fooled out here.
Let's not ignore the elephant in the room beyond. From whispers of spiritual rituals to explosive accusations about industry manipulation, this isn't just tabloid mess. Some claim her energy is part of the pressure-crushing Jay. There are even claims about women like Claudia Jordan and Kathy White tied up in mysterious circumstances, pregnancies, deaths, and cover-ups. One thing's clear, Jay-Z's image is no longer just about rap. It's a swirling storm of secrets, silence, and survival. This moment, it's bigger than Jay. It's exposing a toxic code in hip-hop that men must be invincible, untouchable, always flexing, never breaking. From Kanye's mental health battles to Young Handsome's depression confessions, the culture's armor is cracking. Jay-Z breaking down might just be the moment the game wakes up. Because if he can hit a wall, maybe it's time to stop pretending pain doesn't exist. So what happens next? Does Jay-Z rise like a phoenix rebranded, reborn? Or do the skeletons finally come crashing out of the closet? Either way, one thing is clear, the mask is off and the world is watching closely. If you made it this far, drop a comment. Do you think this was a genuine breakdown or something deeper? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications, because the next chapter in this saga is already writing itself.